All right, we're live.
Oh, jeez.
Hi. Quick. Your hair looks crazy.
Yeah, look at
you look like Christopher Lloyd a little bit.
Well, at least it's been worse, and at least I've been semi-shaved. I got a little, but is that good? I don't want to.
That's better.
I don't comb my hair.
Nobody's here yet. Anyway, we just went live. I'm trying to.
Here's my shirt.
I always try to figure out the lining, and I always look like I'm looking up in the air because I'm looking at the TV over there, and not down at the camera, which is right there. Yeah. I need to get the other live streams up. So.
All right. Well, nobody's here yet, so. Ugh. Belching. Have to excuse me.
I'm going to try to do TikTok on the tablet.
Yeah, we run a iPad, an iPhone, and a wireless webcam on a computer, right?
Yes.
3 things.
Yes.
Multi-streams. We found it's better to do it on different devices than do it on one.
I need to eventually get the iPhone holder that I bought you and see if I can clip it to the table here. Yeah. Because then it'll be vertical. Because other than that,
you mean the clamp?
Yeah, because other than that, any video, any live stream that I do on the phone is sideways. Tim's here. Hi, Tim.
Hey, Tim. Are you going to church tonight? Good Friday. I can see Tim.
Do they go on Friday or do you go on Easter Sunday?
I think he goes both. He's Catholic, so I think they have Good Friday Mass.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, I know that our little Lakes and Valleys church up here, I think they're doing a sunrise Easter service on Sundays.
So it is Easter weekend. Happy Good Friday. What was that?
Sorry.
Happy Easter to you coming up on Sunday.
Yes.
We got some news, a thing going on at the station, and some other things to talk about in the news.
Tim says, no, we haven't had Friday night service anymore.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, so I guess they don't do, maybe. All right, where do I go to go? Now, see, it's been a minute since I've used
I used to go to a private religious school, and they were Lutheran, and it wasn't Catholic, but they were close to it because they had the robes, and you know, they dressed a lot like the Catholics. They had Mass and this and that. It wasn't Catholic, it was Lutheran, but it was very similar to the school I went
to. Okay, I'm trying to do this.
I can almost see that. My eyes are a little better today. Still not good, but I still have to get my cataract operation.
This iPad is heavy.
Yeah, we're setting up as we speak, so.
Oh.
Luckily, we got good Wi-Fi. As long as the batteries hold out, hopefully the charge is good.
I do want to
everything's on batteries.
Closer to me because we have cats, and that could end badly.
That's what we gotta watch. They don't knock our equipment off our table here.
All right, we'll do this, and then we'll say, I'm not going to worry about titles.
Hey, I don't try to be professional. This is not a radio show. It's just us sitting around our studio compound. We're in the center floor of the house, Craig Studios, where we do production and where we do a lot of shows too. We still have our studio downstairs, which I haven't been to in like a long time, and we also have our facilities upstairs. One of these days I need to get down there, but I haven't been able to because I have to go around and down the ramp outside. And it's very, very steep. You got to push the wheelchair down there, and it's not.
Okay, so there. I'll just get closer.
All right. Hopefully, Clint will get the message. Maybe you can
Well, I got to do Facebook still.
Yeah, message.
So, there. We're on TikTok and YouTube.
All right.
There.
So tell everybody about my shirt. I love my shirt.
Tim says we haven't had Friday night service anymore. We have an optional noon service. We have Holy Thursday we had Holy Thursday at night the other night. Sunday morning at 10 a.m. is Easter Sunday. I would actually, if we ever could make it, I'd like to go to the Easter sunrise service out here at our little church. I mean, they're literally out there when the sun, because, you know, we live with the country folk, and so they're literally out there when the sun comes up.
Well, the thing that we didn't get to go to, I wanted to when we lived in Colorado, they have this beautiful outdoor amphitheater areas, all natural red stone rock formations called Garden of the Gods.
Oh.
And they would have Easter service there outside in nature with these big spirals.
You never went to that?
Stone that's all red. No,
I thought you did.
Yeah, they have concerts there and everything, you know. But they had Easter service, and that would have been awesome.
So, hello to everybody on YouTube, and hello to everybody on TikTok.
Terry, Tiffany, Fritz the Cat, Skidmarink, Cats with No Hair, Ho-Ho, Imhotep, and Hermie.
Which, Hermie's awake, but he's just watching us.
Yeah.
So, hey, Fritzy, you want to come here and be on camera?
Don't make you mad.
Come here, where are you going? Come here, buddy. Come here.
Fritz is doing really well. Okay, we're very thankful. He does have some bladder spasms once in a while where he actually, when he has pain because of his bladder, I mean, he's good. He's as healed as he's going to be. The doctor saved his life, definitely guided by the hand of God. And he stayed with us and brought him back from the dead. And he's okay. But he has bladder spasms once in a while. And what's so strange is when he has them, he barks like a dog.
Like a dog lion.
Yeah. Yeah, just like it sounds just like a dog. But other than his bladder spasms, and he leaks a little bit once in a while. You get a little puddle here and there. But he's doing good.
Yeah, it's worth it, though. Kept him with us.
Is he on camera yet?
Yeah, he was over here on camera. Anyway, I got to get it.
He looks good, don't he?
I got to get it started on Facebook. But hello to everybody on TikTok and YouTube. So Terry and Tiffany Dufault from Cult Radio here, in case you don't know anything about us.
On Easter, Good Friday.
We're fairly new to TikTok. We've been there, what, a month?
Yeah.
Or so since the U.S. decided that they told us that we couldn't do it. And that's why we said, well, we're going to do it because you told us we couldn't do it.
Excuse my hair.
So we're all about retro pop culture, and we're going to be talking about some pop culture subjects and stuff tonight and topics.
We are a network of 5+, and we'll say what the plus is in a minute, radio stations, internet radio stations, 24/7, and also a couple of TV networks on Roku, and also many other on-demand apps on Roku, and also on Apple. I mean, we're on Apple, we're on Roku, iPhone, iPad, and the Roku. Yes.
So, Tim says, so is he eating and drinking fine?
Yeah, he's doing good.
Fritz,
Tim remembers he didn't want to eat for a while.
He didn't want to eat for a while. Fritz is on a special diet now. He's supposed to eat prescription wet cat food that's for urinary care, and it's very expensive, and he doesn't really like it, so we have to kind of bribe him. Sometimes he's real good about it, and then other times he's like, eh.
For a long time, he was eating the cat food that's put out by Burt Ward Robin from Batman, the actor. He ate that for a while, but now we're moving on to other things.
So while I'm getting the Facebook feed up, why don't you tell everybody what we're going to be doing for Craig Live for the radio show tomorrow?
It's really kind of up in the air, but I thought, because, you know, we have a rotation to where we'll do a new Craig Live. We've been on for like 20-some years, like going on, what is it, like 22 years?
23 years.
23 years, going on 25 in a couple of years. I came from broadcast radio. I'll have my 50th year next year. I hate to keep saying it to you, but I repeat it because I'm proud of it. 50 years on the air, AM, FM, local television, and internet radio. And internet radio, that part of it is going on 23 years. And we have our anchor station, which is Cult Radio Go-Go or Craig Radio. And then we have other stations that are substations, which are sister stations. But we've been doing Craig Live. Started out on Live 365 and wound up on Shoutcast. We're independent. We're on 24/7, and every Saturday we have a 3-hour live show. It used to be 4 hours, but now it's 3. And what we're doing is we're still doing a new show. It isn't always live. it is when we can. We do more like we used to do when we did Live 365. In the fact that, not too long ago, we had a guest every show, but now I'm cutting back and retiring a little bit from interviewing, although I'm not done yet. I still plan on doing interviews in the future because we're still contributing to Videoscope Magazine. In fact, our new issue just came out, which was who?
Satana.
Satana is now out on the newsstands. A brand new issue of Videoscope Magazine. I've been with Videoscope since like 1990. So, I'm still going to be doing interviews for Videoscope, an occasional interview for Craig Live. But as of right now, as I'm still recovering from having had cancer twice and being on oxygen, as you can see here, we're doing shows much like we did on 365, where it's kind of like documentaries, if you will, or profiles, movie profile, artist profile, actors, singers, whatever, doing shows on them. We got one coming up pretty soon on Paul Rubens, because we're going to be they're going to have that Paul Rubens special coming on Max. We're going to be doing him. You got a whole list of other ones we're doing. But we thought for this weekend, rather than having, a standard Craig Live of either a newly produced show that's more like a profile, which we also alternate with Craig Live reruns, the best of Craig Live, and just regular straight out shows of straight music. We decided to have kind of an Easter marathon. So we don't know quite sure. We haven't put it together yet. We don't have the content together. We're doing that after we get off of here. So it's not done yet. But it's not going to be like a hosted show. You might hear Craig the Gargoyle coming in and saying hi and giving you Easter greetings. But as far as the hosted show, it's just going to be random airings of mostly spoken word audio. Mm-hmm. We think we're going to be possibly looking at, we can't say for sure, maybe for Easter some David and Goliath, maybe. Because our friends we had the son of
Art Clokey. We had Joe Clokey on.
Yeah, he passed away during the show. It's so sad. Not during the show, but during the process of doing Craig Live. He was on live. He was a great guest. His wife is still around, but David and Goliath, maybe the audio from the Rankin Bass, Easter Bunny, whatever, Peter Cocktail, mm-hmm. And who knows what else we'll find and do. We might do some Craig Lives that was done around Easter that might have Easter songs and stuff, but we're not sure. We're not going to do Harvey because that's kind of been done. We may have some music from Jesus Christ Superstar. I think some of the songs will be good.
I may do some of the. We'll see. We'll see what time we start it, because I'm thinking of wanting to try to start
either tonight or tomorrow.
And if we start early, I will include some of the Easter themed Craig Live. Right. I will include like the Kook Show Easter special. Wicked Kitty might have had an Easter special, just to like fill up time. Yeah. And then when we get,
because we're thinking of starting it tonight. And have it go through. It'll be playing during.
And then when we get,
and
then later on it'll have hopefully some of the Davy and Goliath stuff. Right. So okay, on
because you think Facebook, of Easter, you think of Davy and Goliath, right? I do.
So on Facebook, Clint is over on Facebook. Clint, if you want to join us, or if you can join us over on YouTube, you can actually see the better video camera.
And of course, there is a Roku app for YouTube that you can see us on your TV.
Yeah. But because Facebook is the one that's on my phone tonight, so that video I think is sideways. So if you want to see us right side up and see the better frame, you head over to YouTube. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/Dufonet, DUFOENET.
And on YouTube, we got a very high quality camera.
DUFOENET. The second best camera is over on TikTok, which if you head over there, just look up cult_radio. Hi to everybody over on TikTok who is kind of still figuring out who we are and meeting us for the first time. And then everybody on Facebook, if you want to watch us sideways with this teeny tiny camera where Terry and I are both not in frame, then you can watch us over there.
But anyway,
so
as I said,
Terry was talking a little bit about cult radio and what we do and all that stuff.
Are you going to start it tonight?
I'm going to try.
Easter.
I'm going to try, but it depends, because I also have to make homemade tomato soup and homemade peanut butter and fudge brownies.
And you got Easter meal coming up on
Easter
Sunday.
meal on Sunday is prime rib, mashed potatoes and gravy, sweet potatoes, biscuits, and coffee cream pie. You can see why I've gained back a lot of the weight that I lost. I lost like 100 pounds.
You guys think she's fat.
But
She's not fat.
I gained back 50 of it. So I guess I'm still okay because I'm still 50 pounds down from where I was, but I'm not as good as where I was.
You look good.
I don't feel good. My back hurts.
I've lost weight, but I've gained back some.
Yeah, but you like it though because your legs are filling in. Terry's starting to show off because for those of you that don't know, Terry's had lymphoma twice. He's beat it twice.
Cancer.
And he was bedbound. Has trouble walking with mobility. He has a trach because he has a benign tumor in the left side of his face. But
I'm blind with 2 cataracts.
But he still does the radio show because you don't have to see to do radio.
No.
So, okay, so Clint's back over on YouTube now. He says, "Oh, that's okay.
Clint.
That's better. It is better because we're right side up."
Yeah.
So see, that's what I should just do everywhere else. If you're not watching,
we can go like that.
If you're not watching us on YouTube, you just have to watch us sideways.
It's good to have old Clint back.
Yeah.
I missed him.
Yes.
I still want to.
When I messaged Clint, he wasn't sure it was me.
Yeah.
He thought we were hacked.
Yeah. He wants to buy a new Craig shirt because his shirt got ate in laundry.
Yeah.
So if you go over to drive-inmovie.com, there is a store where you can buy related apps that we put out on the Roku and the Apple, but there's also our t-shirt store. And the thing you need to make sure of when you look at the t-shirts, because I worry about this, is there's more than one page. It looks like there's one page, but you got to go to page 2 and 3. You click on a little thing, you go to the next page. There's more than one page. There's many pages of many shirts. We got like, 50 shirts?
A lot. We have a lot. And the thing is that it's not all just shirts.
Yeah.
Like the store that we're with now has a lot of different products and different stuff.
Hats.
And it's not just all stuff that has to do with our stations. We have pop culture stuff over there too. So
let's all go to the lobby and
T-shirts
like
of public domain horror films and logos for Dark Shadows and things like that. So check it out. If you go over to cragradio.com, CRAGGRADIO.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom, or you can go to drive-inmovie.com, drive-inmovie.com, and scroll down under the big splash image at the top, and there's a link to the store.
Now, if you go to drive-in-movie,
we are going to be talking about pop culture, like headlines and stuff. So hang in there, guys. I promise.
If you go to drive-inmovie.com, okay, there's a surprise at the top because the merch is still there. But at the top, that URL has a new purpose because if you have a drive-in, what do you do before you see the movie? What do you listen to?
You listen to the drive-in movie speaker.
On your window of your car.
And then after the movie,
they always had this guy that did radio.
You forget to take it off, and you drive away, and you shatter the window in your car.
I got a few from the drive.
It didn't break your window?
No. Actually,
I always figure it's like, okay, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to break your car window, or you're going to rip it off the pole. It depends on how sturdy their drive-in speaker is.
One time, John Lee opened his car door really hard. He was too close to the pole, and he banged his door against the drive-in speaker pole so hard that he fucked up the hinge, and he couldn't shut the door anymore. We had to hold the door shut.
Oh, my God.
While we were driving. But anyway, you know, I was raised at the drive-in. I'm 68.
60?
Gonna be 68.
No.
I'm 68 now.
You're gonna be 69. You're 69.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm 68. Gonna be 69.
You're gonna be 70 next year.
I'll be 68, 69 this year, and next year I'll be 70. But I was always raised where you're at the drive-in. The drive-in was like 10 minutes from my house.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up at the Robin Drive-In in Rockford, Illinois. That was a great drive-in. They had the big screen. They only had one screen because it was an old drive-in. But they had this really great area that was right outside the snack bar. It was well lit. It was a fenced-in area. with outdoor seating. So you can just sit there outside and watch the screen, and you're like, what, walking distance to the snack bar? And it was great. And sitting there listening to that or in your car, there was always drive-in radio.
Yeah.
Which was a guy that sounded like, your average top 10 DJ, and he would talk about the movies coming on. He played movie trailers, and he played music. We now have a 6th radio station. We're crazy. We had 5. Now we got 6.
have all the time in the world.
So at drive-in-movie.com, at the top, before you get down to the merch at the bottom, there is Drive-In Movie Radio.
Mm-hmm.
It's only available in a few places. It's on the Drive-In Movie website. It is available now in our last Drive-In Roku app. Instead of doing like a single Craig Live, we have a button to listen to Drive-In Movie Radio, which is streaming live 24/7 a day. And it's also on Get Me Radio.
Right.
I talked a lot.
And it's in our last Drive-In app.
And what is Drive-In Movie?
Well,
Radio?
It's going to be content.
It's like Craig Jr.
Well,
it is. Son of Craig.
I explained it when I announced it on social media that it had launched. It's kind of like a summary / potpourri of everything that we do.
Yeah.
So for right now, what's up there on airing on Drive-In Movie Radio, so
which is in the last Drive-In Roku app, which is on drive-inmovie.com, and which is on Get Me Radio.
So drive-inmovie.com. So what's up there right now is classic Crag Lives. So Crag Lives from our last 23 years of doing live shows with celebrity interviews that we've done over the last 23 years.
We're going to put all of them.
After I finish getting through those, I'm only halfway through. Our internet provider hates us right now. I have been uploading nonstop for the past 48 hours.
Because our new station, like Craig, has unlimited space.
So after those get up there, then we're going to put up all of our, I won't say all, I will say a good chunk of our previous shows.
Files we still have.
We will have.
We got rid of a lot of the old holes shows, but we have some files.
Which reminds me, Clint, if you have any of your old shows and you want them to air, send them to me. I don't have your old shows.
And we would definitely air whatever you had done for us.
Yeah.
Or if you want to do anything new.
Yeah, but we're going to have our...
Same way with you, Tim. You want to do some new stuff, we'll air it. But we're going to air everything you did in the past. Both your series, Radio Time Machine and the Phantom of the movies. We're going to air all the stuff that you did.
We're going to have the 2 shows by Clint. We're going to have the 3 shows by Ghosty. Shock Radio, Glass Pelican, which I could never say. And Retro Radio Diner with Rachel. We're going to have the Doc South Succotash shows. We're going to have the Whiskey Sour Notes shows, all the Wicked Kitty shows, all the Kook Show Baby shows, all of those. And then...
And if Clint can send his old shows, we'll put them. We would put them on, but we don't have them. We can't find them. We may have them, but we haven't found them yet. And Tim and Noel, we're going to air your old stuff. You want to do anything new, we'll put it in the database.
Yeah, and then we'll build from there. And we're going to have... It's going to basically be our playground where we can have, like, themed days. Like on Cult Radio, if you listen to Cult Radio, you know it's kind of this big hodgepodge. And it'll go from playing, Hank Williams to playing the Ramones to playing a movie trailer from House of Wax to playing an old-time radio show to playing the, audio segments from an episode of The Lone Ranger. So... with Drive-In Movie Radio, we're going to have the space and the separation to be able to do theme days. So we'll say, okay, on this day, we're tuned into Drive-In Movie Radio. It's going to be all classic corn country. If you tune in on this day, it's going to be, all movie trailers.
See, let me interject, because Rod Squindle wanted us to do another station, which we would call Old Crotchy Radio, because Dead Pit, we were up in the Rondo, got snarky and called us Old Crotchety Radio. Thought we would be upset at that. We liked it. I like that name. So we're going to do Old Crotchety Radio on Drive-In Movie Radio. There's going to be 1 day or 2 days or a couple of days. It's going to be old vintage country, Hank Williams and so on.
Right. So it's a work in progress. We launched it earlier this week, and then we relaunched it like 36 hours ago. So we're going to be building it up more and more, but it'll be fun.
Just know this. I got to say this, and then I know I'm talking too much. I'm on Percocet. We didn't edit any shows, and when we started recording Craig Lives, we would just start it before we came on. So you will hear traces of a couple of assholes whose names will not be mentioned and whose shows we would never air, but you will hear parts of their shows leading into Craig Live. And there's nothing we can do because I don't want to take the time to edit those out. And an occasional asshole came to the house and in the studio. A lot of times basically lived with us because he was a street person and couldn't afford to live on his own. So, this is before a detective was going to put him in jail for death threats against us. But you might hear some of that air today.
Okay, so super far behind on comments. So Rick Bowden is in our YouTube chat.
Hey, Rick.
He says, nice to see you. Enjoyed some of your interviews this week on YouTube.
Thank you.
And he said, Rob Word told me to say hello. He did remember you after I reminded him of your guys' names. Let's see. Clint says he's still collecting soundtracks.
We're like the only place. There's some dedicated soundtrack radio stations, but we're the only kind of variety station that does music from.
Clint says he doesn't have any of his old shows because he doesn't, and he can't do new shows because he doesn't have a computer.
Oh, that's okay.
He doesn't have a computer anymore. He just has a mobile. He says, I remember when Spice Williams Crosby came on, did some radio spots for my old show. Rick says, what a huge and invaluable service you have brought so far. It is all greatly appreciated, and as are these live broadcasts.
We try.
So, and then
the only thing we will not be having is we will not be bringing back any of the horror host shows.
No.
Except you might hear them leading into, or maybe they came to the studio.
Yeah.
And we can't change history. We're not going to edit it out. Okay, you can't change history. It is what it is.
Yeah.
These are people we tried to help, and they fucked us, and I'm not going to edit them out of the show. Just know that some of the people you hear are not nice people, but they're there.
No. So I'm interested to know if Rick had a chance to listen to, because I put up, earlier today, I put up our interview with Joel Gilbert. That was a fun... That was a favorite of a lot of our listeners because this is the guy that directed the documentary. I'll say that documentary on saying that the Paul is dead rumor that's been circulating for 60 years.
Started back in the 60s because everybody said Paul died.
Yeah,
nobody
60
wanted
years.
To admit that, so they got an imposter replacement that portrayed himself to be Paul because he had plastic surgery to look like Paul. It's the Paul that we still know is recently on SNL. It's not Paul, but somebody else.
And this supposed documentary tried to say that he was sent unknown audio cassette tapes from an unknown address that was supposedly from George Harrison, to where George Harrison, quote unquote, on these tapes before his death revealed that the whole Paul thing was true, that Paul really was dead and he died in 1966, and they replaced him because management and the powers that be and the record labels saw the Beatles as a big cash cow and they didn't want to lose that money.
The reason that it's fun is because I ripped him a new ass.
Terry takes no prisoners during the interview.
What happened? What happened with mentioning Donna?
Well, Terry, first of all, asked him right out. He's like, why would you want to risk your reputation to do this? I mean, first of all, he's a Bob Dylan impersonator. So he's clearly, interested in the whole entertainment aspect of things.
He does great production, though. He's got a great production.
And he was like, why would you want to risk your reputation on doing this and saying, were you able to authenticate these tapes in any way? And the guy's like, well, you can't authenticate them because George Harrison has passed away now and blah, blah, blah. We don't have a reason. Blah, 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 blah. And then Terry repeatedly caught the director on things that had been said in the documentary that didn't make sense, that weren't true.
Such as he said, Heather Mills, who became Paul's wife later on, was at the accident and witnessed Paul's death. She knew it was true. She knew she was married to a replacement. And back when the accident happened, because Paul did have an accident, and they said he died from that accident. It's talked about in one of the Beatles songs with a backward mask of that. Heather wasn't born yet.
Yeah.
And he said that she had witnessed that accident back in the 60s. And I called him on that.
We have someone in the chat that says there's irrefutable proof that Paul, who's pictured on the front cover of Abbey Road by the Beatles, died on February 13th, 2008 in Pensacola.
I know.
That would be 2008. That's not even what the whole myth, the conspiracy theory was about. The conspiracy theory, which in the video, if you watch the video, I put up slides from the different headlines. Back in 1966, there was headlines. It was on the covers of magazines that there was the rumor that Paul is dead.
And there's lyrics in a Beatles song that refer to that if you interpret. But
so we had asked this director because he had said, oh, well, they referenced that Paul is dead reference was in this one line of the song and blah, 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 for, I think, Yellow Submarine. And we're like, oh, what line was that? And he's like, oh, sky of blue, sea of green. And we're like, so the Beatles put that in there as a message to let people know that Paul really was dead.
There was other songs
and he said, oh yeah. And we're like, oh, because we interviewed Donovan, the famous singer Donovan, who said he wrote that line and gave it to the Beatles because he was hanging out with the Beatles at the time, and they were, hanging out with Maharishi, and they were doing the whole India thing with the meditation and and then all of a sudden it was like he didn't want to answer any questions anymore.
He wanted to leave.
Oh, wow.
He wanted to leave, and he was arguing with me. You could hear me banging my head on the mic, so I'm getting frustrated.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm like, this is the way it works. I ask the questions, and you answer, okay?
Rick says he hasn't heard the Gilbert one yet. He started Gilbert late today. He's looking forward to hearing all of it. You'll laugh, Rick. He says, what do you think? I love how Terry asked him about his credibility being hindered. That's great journalism. Totally nuts. Sorry, but it's crazy. Sorry, it's crazy.
And, after that, he put out another one saying Elvis is alive. Said Paul is dead, but Elvis is alive.
Let me clarify what Tarot Destroyer was saying. It said that American tourist Paul Cole's in the background between John and Ringo and Abbey Road. That may be true. I don't know. We were referring to Paul McCartney, and we're not. We don't say that we're experts on any of this stuff at all. We are retro pop culture enthusiasts, and we love retro pop culture, and it's where our heart is. And if you asked us about anything that happened, probably after the 1990s, we'd be hard pressed to be able to tell you anything about it. But we love retro pop culture. We're enthusiasts of it. And just, I think the whole idea that Paul McCartney is dead is crazy. And you know what? They have mimicked that conspiracy theory because there's been rumors that Avril Lavigne is dead and they replaced her with a lookalike. There's been some of the same rumors about other people as well. And it's just like, okay.
And if it wasn't enough, he did Joel Gilbert did the whole Paul McCartney thing. He came out with one saying Elvis was alive, and he actually had an actress that was in an Elvis film that did the number Edge of Reality with him. I think it was Little. I'm not sure. I think it's Love a Little. I'm not sure in the name, but it was the Edge of Reality sequence. And she comes up to this guy's house, and she realized it's Elvis, and he's still alive, and he looked like an old Elvis and everything. And then I cornered her on the show, and she admitted it was all bullshit. It was an actor, and she was just doing it for fun. But Gilbert sweared Elvis is alive and Paul is dead. And then after we grilled him on Paul, we tried to get him to come back on for the Elvis one. He wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Because we had cornered him the first time.
Yeah. Rick says if he had died and if the others knew, by now it would have been known. So let me get this straight. They went to cover it up, yet they give clues. That doesn't make sense. That's true. It doesn't make sense.
The
they
whole
were going to cover it up.
Unless,
I don't remember what it said in the documentary. It's been years since I saw the documentary, but I think what they were saying is that the remaining 3 Beatles were kind of like strong-armed. In the documentary, they were saying they were strong-armed to do it because of the money, the studio behind them, the management, blah, 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 blah. And so they didn't like it, but they went along with it.
The one song in the name of Stacy, the lyrics were, he blew his mind out in a car.
Yeah.
As in the car wreck.
Right.
And people looked down and they knew his name. In other words, he was recognizable because he was a celebrity. But you know those lyrics they put in there, that they were starting this whole rumor, they did it for fun because they were high. Okay?
Yeah, maybe
the
they were
Beatles, smoked a little bit.
And that was one of the other shorts that I put up on TikTok for the people that are watching us on TikTok. You might have saw the 2 shorts that I put up over there for you guys to check out. Knowing that if you wanted to hear the full interview, you could head over to our YouTube page. But one short was the short where you were asking Joel Gilbert about his reputation and putting that on the line. The other one was where Joel Gilbert was talking about how Bob Dylan had become friends with the Beatles, and Bob Dylan was influential in getting the Beatles to smoke pot. Because I guess according to Joel Gilbert or whatever interview it was that he referenced in his documentary, at the time in the 60s, the big thing in England was to pop pills like barbiturates and stuff like that. And in the U.S., the big thing amongst the hippie culture was to smoke pot. And so Bob Dylan had talked allegedly, the Beatles and said, hey, weed is so much healthier. It's natural. It's an herb, blah, 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 blah. And then they had switched to smoking weed and never went back.
Well, we had the actress.
But the point is, they were high.
From Live a Little, Love a Little did the Edge of Reality. And I was like, so you met Elvis? And she's like, no, it's an actor. I'm like, oh, my God, thank God. I thought you were crazy. Because I thought she was nuts, but it was a joke. And, to be fair, later on, Joel admitted they were mockumentaries. At the time, he said they were legitimate, and he was fighting.
Yeah, he's like, why are you laughing? Like, what? Like, no. So, okay, so just kind of doing the rounds here really quick. For those of you who are watching us on Facebook, if you want to see the video right side up and full screen and framed right, please head over to our YouTube page at youtube.com/duponet. For those of us watching on TikTok, hi, we're still kind of becoming a part of the TikTok community, so please like the video and more importantly, please hit the follow button on our profile if you like retro pop culture stuff. I try to post something retro pop culture up there at least once a day, sometimes more. I try, unless the day gets crazy. And then for people over on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the videos and stuff like that. So,
visit our homepage, which is Cragg, CRAGG radio.com or Cult Radio a go-go, all one word, .com, and you will see a portal to hear our 6 radio stations, not 5, 6. And to tell you the truth, we got another stream that we were testing that we're going to get rid of because, we switched over stream. We're actually running 7 right now.
Yeah,
one of them you can't listen to.
But you can't listen to because one is like a production thing. So, we were going to talk about the premiere episode of the new season of Doctor Who, which came on last week. But I don't know if we should talk about that because Cy Bob isn't here. And Cy Bob is like our resident Doctor Who fan that hangs out with us, our resident Whovian. But you wanted to talk about, well, first of all, there was a passing this week that we wanted to mention from the world of retro pop culture to pay tribute to, and that was the one and only Wink Martindale passed away.
He was a DJ back in the 50s, one of the first people to play Elvis on the radio. Hosted this great Elvis special that was on when I was back, on WLUV. We heard some of that. And it wound up in his latter days being a game show host, and even had a hit record with a song called, well, it's kind of spoken word, but House of Cards,
Mm-hmm.
about a Vietnam vet that was up for court martial because he was playing cards during while they were on patrol, and he explained that the cards was his Bible, and like the king would be Jesus, and he says the whole thing, and it's a very nice record. House of Cards, Wink Martindale, classic broadcaster.
I think it said he was 91 years old.
Yeah, we almost had him on. He was talking to us.
And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about the classic television game show hosts.
They live a long time.
But they live a long time. I mean, Peter Marshall lived a long time. And
we did have Peter Marshall on.
We did. I don't know if that interview's on YouTube. I think it is. I don't know.
But yeah, we had Peter Marshall on, and he also was a old radio host, and of course Dr. DeMintle, not too old, but he's a classic host. He was on. But Wink Martindale, we almost got him.
Yeah. And then kind of, not to like toll the death knell thing, but they released the supposed diagnosis this week. I guess it was an autopsy, the supposed cause of death for Michelle Trachtenberg.
Which, I understand she was only 39.
She was younger than me.
Yeah.
Okay. Which they're trying to say, authorities are trying to say that she passed away due to complications of diabetes.
She was not heavy.
She was not heavy.
She was
never heavy.
Fat people that has diabetes.
Right. She was not heavy. She was never heavy.
I smell bullshit.
I call bullshit on this. I would be interested to hear what people like Scott Michaels, who we watch over on Dearly Departed, what he thinks about this. But she had just had surgery. I think.
Are You Afraid of the Dark? And Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But she had just had surgery, right?
She had just had, I believe it was kidney surgery. It's either kidney or liver. Yeah. It was one or the other, replacement surgeries or something like that. But it was a major organ surgery. She had just had it. She was home recovering from it. And so I think something happened during the surgery that was possible malpractice, and they're trying to cover it up. Because my other point is there was something going on that was life-threatening, that was caused by the diabetes or diabetes in general. Why didn't they catch it and diagnose it and treat it? She had just been in the hospital for a major organ surgery. So they do a full panel and a full workup before you go in for surgery. If something was off in her levels, you would have thought they would have caught it. So I don't know.
Her parents at first didn't want the death results released. All of a sudden they decided to. I'm not going to believe it was diabetes.
No, not somebody that young, that seemingly healthy looking. Like you said, she wasn't heavy or overweight.
Check out Eurotrip. We can't recommend it enough. It was kind of an up all night kind of movie, but you got to work with her.
I did.
I mean,
I was on Buffy as an extra. I was just an extra on Buffy.
You were on?
I was an extra on a couple of episodes of Buffy. She was really nice. Seth Green was really nice. The guy that played Xander was really nice. I didn't get to meet the gal who played Willow, Allison Hannigan. I didn't get to meet her. Sarah Michelle Gellar, not so nice. Very snobby and stuck up, and didn't want to give anybody that she perceived as being underneath her the time of day. She literally had hired somebody, Sarah Michelle Gellar had hired somebody to follow her around, because it's Southern California, it was hot. Hired somebody to follow her around with an umbrella and keep the sun off of her. And she sat on set with a magazine up like this, and we were filming at a college, and there was a gal who was a student at the college and was a fan of hers and ran up to her. Wasn't supposed to, but, whatever.
You're not supposed to talk to the actor.
Came up to her, and they were on break. They weren't shooting. She was sitting in a chair reading her magazine, having her minion hold the umbrella over her head. And the student came up to her and was, a fan, and was like, "Oh my gosh, Sarah Michelle Gellar, I'm such a big fan, and I love you and so much. And me and my sister always watch Buffy, and I was wondering if maybe I could get an autograph from my sister." And instead of actually like answering the girl, talking to her, giving her an autograph, or even saying, I can't really right now or whatever. Sarah just took the magazine and just lifted it up in front of her face so that she was blocking the girl like she wasn't, the invisible man wasn't even there, and just ignored her. And I was like, wow, that is probably one of the rudest things I've ever seen somebody do. Other than Rob Lowe on The West Wing. He was also very rude to the extras.
I was directed by the director of Buffy on Firefly. And he didn't play that game.
Joss Whedon.
And he didn't play that celebrity game. Like, he would tell us extras. I was dressed like Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
He would tell us extras, don't be afraid to walk up to the fucking actors in the shot. They're nobody. They're just fucking actors. They're not better than you.
Yep.
So he wasn't like that. I don't think he would have approved.
Yeah. Let's see. Rick says, I heard that pill and dope story thing about Bob Dylan is true. In England at the time, pills were the preferred. Uppers and downers, either way, blood flows. That's a Who lyric.
I think Joe Gilbert would have played a better Bob Dylan than Timothy Chalamet. That was terrible, that movie.
Says, I was
complete unknown.
I was shocked when I heard that Val Kilmer passed away.
Yes, that too.
And
throat cancer too, my God.
Rick says they didn't die, they just moved for a commercial. KC is in there.
Very good.
She says maybe she had type 1 diabetes. That can be deadly if it's not treated. That is true. But, again, Michelle Trachtenberg had just been in the hospital for, it was either kidney or liver surgery. So if she did have type 1, and it was fatal, why didn't they catch it? We all know that they do a full workup. I mean, whether it's needed or whether it's because the medical industry, which I am bitter about, so don't get me started, if the medical industry just wants to be able to charge the insurance for a bunch of crap that's not really needed. They do a full workup. They almost go and find your parents and take a urine sample from them before they let you do anything at a doctor's office.
They want to do genealogy on me and go way back and look at my family tree from
if there had been type 1 diabetes to where her pancreas wasn't creating insulin at all, which type 1 is when you're born and your pancreas from basically birth or early onset of life doesn't create enough insulin to manage your system, I would have assumed that, especially since they were messing with an organ surgery, either liver or kidney, that they would have caught that. My suspicion is arisen by the fact that she was just there for a major surgery. It wasn't like, oh, she had a hangnail. It's like she was just in the hospital for a major surgery. Why wasn't it caught? A lot of times that happens,
like Joan Rivers had like plastic surgery and then died.
Yeah.
If not during, after, and it's usually connected. They just don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
We'd like to thank Casey.
Yes.
For contributing Rare Audio. Her father, who was an officer on a bike, a motorcycle officer, and did many other things for the force. Her rear officer, her whole family is dedicated to the force. We won't say Casey's last name, but got to know Bobby Sherman.
Mm-hmm.
And Casey sent us some rare audio of her father jamming with Bobby Sherman of 3 tracks was laid down in Bobby's home studio.
Right.
Because we did a show on Bobby Sherman. Always been a Bobby Sherman fan.
We're still listening to Bob. We aired that show, a couple weeks ago?
He's still hanging in there.
We're still listening to Bobby Sherman music around the house all the time.
Bobby's got stage 4 cancer. He's still hanging in. And we pray to God that he makes it for healing every day. But we were very happy to have that show put together because I've always loved Bobby Sherman. And Casey got to record at Bobby's studio as well.
She did. And have a tour of his house.
Yeah.
Beautiful house.
I take it Casey saw his miniature Disneyland.
I didn't ask. I wanted to know, did you get a chance to see the miniature Main Street, for lack of a better word, model that he did of Disneyland's Main Street? Because he got known for that fairly early on.
He had it in his garden of his house.
Rick says Rick is still on the drug thing.
Oh.
Rick, what does this say about you? I'm just asking. Rick says English mods liked pills. Originally, rockers didn't like drugs, which is one reason rockers didn't like mods.
Yeah.
Casey says Donnie Most was an a-hole too.
I've heard.
I've
heard that from other people.
I saw him at a celebrity golf tournament when I was a kid. So excited to get his autograph. He yelled at his handler, "Get these." Should I say? I'm gonna cuss on YouTube. Get these fucking kids back behind the ropes. Yeah. And Rick says that's sad. Donnie Most was acting like that. Well, it's not surprising. We've heard stuff about Donnie Most.
We will say the great people from Happy Days. Erin Moran.
Erin was the
sweetheart.
Sweetest. Erin and actually her brother Tony Moran are both awesome people.
Who played Michael Myers.
Tony Moran is a little bit scarier. Like Tony will beat your butt. Like he will kick your butt. But Erin was the sweetest woman.
And also,
she lived in Santa Clarita.
Right.
I didn't even
know
that.
She lived right by us.
She lived right by us. I didn't even know until after, unfortunately, she had passed away.
Invited us to come and meet her and hang out at a convention. We didn't go, but she did a great interview on Craig. Look that up in the archive. It'll be on drive-in-movie-radio.com, drive-in-movie-radio.com. Also from Happy Days, very nice, was the mom from Happy Days.
You're going to ask me the name, and it just flew out of my head.
And Potsy. Potsy was nice.
Potsy was very nice.
Yes.
I can't think of any names right now.
We had 3 people on from Happy Days.
I heard Henry Winkler is the sweetest person, too. I've never talked to him, but I've heard he's super nice.
I'd like to have him on today.
Marion
Ross.
Thank you.
Marion Ross. What about Potsy?
Potsy?
What's his name? Echo. Who played Potsy on Happy Days?
It will come to me in like 40 minutes.
Swift.com. Lolinaro started on Happy Days.
No.
Echo. No. Who played Potsy on Happy Days?
This is what happens when you get old.
From Nickaswift.com. Lolinaro.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Echo, stop.
Who played Potsy on Happy Days? Nope, that's not right either.
Okay, Google. Who played Potsy on Happy Days?
Who played Potsy?
Potsy Weber was played by Anson Williams.
Anson Williams.
Anson Williams.
Daniel Lecitra answered before any of the electronic devices we had around the house because we're old and we're getting to the point where we can't remember.
We have
Anson Williams. Thank you, Daniel.
Alexa, and we have the Google Home unit.
And I have an Apple Watch, and nobody could get it.
And they all get things wrong, and they're slow.
Because they don't understand what you say.
Yeah.
It's like you say, you call it, they're like, Allegra. No, that's not what I said.
You ever see a SNL skit? Keenan, who also was on our show from SNL, did this skit where he's like an old guy, and he's got an Alexa unit. I don't want to trigger your device.
Yeah.
And instead of saying a name he couldn't remember, he go, Allegra.
Allegra.
As the wake word.
Thank you, Daniel. And again, for anybody who's watching on Facebook, I'm using my phone for Facebook, so it's sideways. So if you want it to be right side up and the full framed picture properly, go over to YouTube, youtube.com/dufonet, DUFOENET. I think we're right side up on TikTok.
Let me show you a cute trick.
Let me know.
I can't play it long because YouTube will hit us with a copyright infringement, even though we pay royalties. Echo. Play CRAGG, Cult Radio A Go-Go on TuneIn.
Cult Radio A Go-Go from TuneIn.
Welcome to TuneIn.
Echo, stop.
I'm sorry,
they play a couple
first,
commercials. They're not our commercials. Yeah. TuneIn has a few commercials. It plays the station. It does it also on the Google Home.
Casey said that it was an honor to contribute to the show, and she didn't get to see the model in the garden, unfortunately. Oh. That's a shame.
I guess she said he had a theater.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Daniel Lecitra says Fonzie Henry Winkler was very nice when he met him in Miami a few years ago.
Yeah.
They say Henry Winkler is like, no, literally, like this is his nickname. They say Henry Winkler is the nicest man in Hollywood. That's what they say. Bar none, he is the nicest man in Hollywood. I would love to meet him.
But we had a major fight because when Erin Moran passed, everybody jumped the gun because she had problems with drugs. And we heard from Sid Haig, who was a friend of ours, when she did the Roger Corman, sci-fi movie, that she was high and almost tried to jump off a ledge thinking she could fly. And Sid grabbed her and pulled her back and saved her life. She did not die of drugs. And fucking, Chachi, turned around.
Oh, we got into such a fight with
said a bunch of shit about Erin.
Scott Baio. We got in such a fight with
and
Scott
Erin's
Baio.
brother, who played Michael Myers, was going to beat his ass.
Yeah.
And we were encouraging him to.
I called Tony. I was like, "Do you want his phone number?"
Not only did
phone number.
Scott Bale fight with us, his people started
Then all of
stalking us.
his little cronies started like flaming us, trolling us on social media.
They would see other.
I'm thinking like this is my first rodeo with idiots and trolls on the internet.
They would look up Tiffany's name and they would see like Craig Guest. They go, "This is Tiffany. She's a 60-year-old woman," and they didn't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They were saying a lot of bad shit.
They were saying a lot
I kept
of bad
trying
shit.
to get Bale to come on because I would fight with him on here.
Well, and then there was
shit.
2 times we kind of had it out with Bale. One time was that, and the other time was because we were trying to get Nicole Eggert on the show.
Yeah.
And
we were friends with Nicole Eggert.
A lot of bad shit about Nicole Eggert because Nicole Eggert accused him of taking advantage of her when they were on Charles in Charge.
And she was underage.
She was underage.
Now that's her accusation. We're not saying.
We're not saying that. That was what she said.
But I will say that in knowing that Aaron Moran took Scott Bale's cherry because he was a virgin. If a guy can be a virgin, according to Aaron's older brother, it's no big deal. How dare Scott Bale say shit about Aaron after she died?
Yeah. It's just tacky.
You asshole.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, and kind of, I don't know how we got on this subject, but we kind of got on the subject of celebrities that are not very nice.
Oh, we've been around the block.
And I'll tell you about
it.
There's another one. I mentioned his name, but Rob Lowe. I was an extra on an episode of The West Wing, and I was
a regular on the
You
West
were a regular.
I was on
almost
every.
I was a regular on American Dreams, and I got to meet Virginia Madsen there.
I was on one.
And Dick Clark.
Yes, I know.
So, but Rob Lowe, I was an extra on an episode of The West Wing, and I was actually excited to see him because he was kind of, not really, but sorta a Brat Packer, and I'm a big fan of the Brat Pack, like, you know, Anthony Michael Hall, Molly Ringwald, blah, 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 you know, St. Elmo's Fire, Rex, blah, blah, blah. And he was working that day on The West Wing, but then he called the AD. We were doing a scene where he was supposed to walk through the crowd, and the extras were obviously the crowd, and he was supposed to like bolt through the crowd and run to the other side of the room that we were in. We were supposed to be at some party at the White House, and he took one take, and then they cut and they were resetting, and he was literally, like, the action was he was supposed to like fight his way through the crowd, and he went over to the ADs and he was like, can you talk to the extras and have them like make a path for me so that I can get through the crowd and get through without having to touch them or touch anybody? And I was like, oh, Mr. Rob Lowe doesn't want to lower himself to have to touch the extras, even though that's his job as an actor, to act like he's busting through the crowd.
And the way they treat extras is terrible.
They treat them like they're bums on the street.
You saw it firsthand. You were in a movie called The Girl Next Door.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were an extra.
Now let me clarify, not a porno. There was a porno called The Girl Next Door.
It's not the porno film.
The Fox 20th Century Fox comedy movie called The Girl Next Door
with Alicia Cuthbert
and Emile Hirsch,
who was in the Quentin Tarantino Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Played Jay Sebring.
Right.
But you were an extra, and then one day they decided to give you a line, and you signed a contract, and you became known as an actor, and immediately you were treated better.
And it was only because I had one word, one line, and so because you get one line, they have to do something called, they Taft-Hartley you, which means you get like a bump in pay. You get like $600 for the day at the time, and you get a contract. So now instead of being an extra, you're considered a day player. So that makes you legitimate somehow. And all of a sudden, I was treated different. I was told I could eat before everybody else. I was told, oh, well, you don't have to wait over there and holding with the extras. And I had spent the whole day and the day before with the extras. But now because I had a day player contract, oh, no, you don't hang out with them. You go over here and hang out. What?
And if you watch The Girl Next Door, the two guys are in high school, walking down, talking, and Tiffany runs into the boys.
Emile Hirsch and Chris Marquette, who played his friend.
Now, Tiffany, in the take that she had a line, called him an asshole.
Right.
And come to find out, they forgot to have her mic'd, So they cut her line out. You could still see
I
her.
still got
She
paid.
still does a scene. She still got paid.
I was still
But
eligible
they-
to join SAG if I wanted
They
to.
used to take where you didn't say the line.
Yeah, well,
But
because
you
it
could be
didn't
seen.
come
You
out.
have great close-up.
Yeah.
You see well.
So let's see. Rick says, I'm going to look at the big monitor over here again because I'm getting old. Rick says, when I was 12, I watched the actor that played Larry Tate.
Oh, yeah, David, I can't think of his last name. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Swearing at the kids, trying to get past the ropes. He was in a meeting circle filming Bewitched when they came to Salem, and I was on set every day.
Wow, that means you must be about my age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wait, let's see if the watch can get this one right. Who played Larry Tate on Bewitched?
David somebody.
David White.
David White. And a little bit of trivia, there was two Louise Tates, but the later actress that played Louise Tate, whose name also escapes me, was in Hitchcock movies and everything. She wound up being one of our customers on eBay because I was selling a DVD of classic vintage Christmas TV shows from days gone by. And she bought the DVD, and she played Larry Tate's wife.
Yeah.
On Bewitched. Of course, we got to know William Asher, who
right.
director was married to Elizabeth.
Oh, and this makes me sad because I actually like him. But Casey says that she was a waitress and worked down in LA area, and she says she waited on Rick Dees.
Oh, Rick
and
is a
she
legend.
goes, he was a real piece of work.
Really?
Very demanding
Oh.
and rude and dismissive. He was like that with all of the wait staff.
Casey ruined my night. Go on.
He was like that with all of the wait staff, so it wasn't like he was just having a bad day.
I got news for you. Okay? There is nothing worse than a news anchor or a radio personality that gets a big hit. Okay?
No.
I don't care if you become a Larry King, a Wolfman Jack, to be considered. I consider you a public figure, not a celebrity, if you're a broadcaster.
I will tell this story, and for those that are listeners to Cult Radio and Crag Live, you've heard me tell this story before, but we have a lot of people that are watching on YouTube and over on TikTok and Facebook as well. When you are a radio personality and a DJ and things like that, you can get to a celebrity status, but you are still a journalist in a way, and so you should still have some kind of grounding to you.
He wasn't exactly a musical legend. He did disco dust.
Well, and kind of talking about Rick Dees and that unfortunate story, I can give the opposite flip side of that. And I can tell you my story about Dick Clark.
Yeah.
Because
now that's a legend.
If you're talking about famous DJs, okay, you're talking about, Dick Clark was like one of the top, not only top known, famous, got to be famous DJs, but then he became a television producer. He became, a television show host. He did Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve, produced all the...
Pyramid. Bloopers and Practical Jokes. Of course, right. American Bandstand.
And then, of course, he was, was it the Grammys or the AMAs? I think it was the AMAs. He was in charge of those, to the American Music Awards. Yeah. He was ginormous as far as celebrity factor goes. And because he had hosted and was the showrunner and involved with the original American Bandstand, which started back in Philadelphia. And
it was about 60s. Bandstand. You played one of the dancers of it.
Well, right. But because he started with that, when they did, he was the executive producer of the show American Dream.
Your check's Clark Productions.
It said Dick Clark Productions, which was American Dreams was on NBC early 2000s, I want to say. So he was the executive producer on it. I was cast as an extra on that, and I got selected to be one of the bandstand kids, one of the bandstand dancers. I got to be a regular on the show. So I was there. We filmed at Sunset Gower Studios.
Where they filmed The Monkees.
Right. So we
filmed
The Three Stooges. We filmed at Sunset Gower Studios, and I was there at least once a week, sometimes 2 or 3 days a week. To do
3 hours of the morning
to film the American Bandstand scene, and we were always told as extras and dancers, which are not treated much better than extras, you know, you stay in holding, you keep to yourself, you don't talk to the actors, you don't talk to the director or the crew unless they talk to you, kind of a thing. Like, basically, like, you're a second-class citizen. You don't matter. You stay in your place and don't speak unless you're spoken to, right? So, okay, so this is my regular job. I'm there a couple of times a week, every single week, every single season. And I see Dick Clark, who is never on set because he didn't direct. He was just the executive producer. One of the other producers, Jonathan Prince, he was on set all the time. But I saw Dick Clark walk across the lot, and he was coming towards me.
Jonathan Prince did Girl Next Door too, did he?
No, that was
somebody.
That was, I know who you're thinking of, but I can't think of his name.
Go on.
You're thinking of the guy that directed The Animal with Rob Schneider. Here's Hermie. Hermie decided to come say hi.
Hey, Hermie.
He's still wearing his sweater.
He's wearing a sweater?
He is wearing his sweater.
He's all decked out.
He's all decked out because it's been cold here. So anyway, I see Dick Clark walking across the lot, and he's coming towards me, and he's going to walk right past holding, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, you know, I could lose my job by doing this, but it's Dick Clark, and he's a legend, so screw it. And I jump up, and I run over to him, and I'm like, Mr. Clark, I know I'm not supposed to bother you, and I'm so sorry. I don't mean to bother you, but I just, you know, I'm a really big fan, and I just wanted to say hi and meet you and shake your hand because I know that I probably will never get this chance to meet you ever again, and I'm really sorry, but, you know, I just wanted to say hi and thank you for everything that you've done for the industry, not only film and television, but, you know, pop culture.
He made many singers' careers.
He was involved, you know, with like the beach party, like the AIP films back then, and the whole like traveling cavalcade of stars with Frankie Avalon and all that.
Where the action is the Paul Revere and the Raiders.
And then I just kind of like vomited all of these words and then stopped talking, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna get fired now. And he just, the nicest man. He smiled, he shook my hand, he put his arm around my shoulder. He's like, oh, that is so sweet, thank you so much, it's so nice to meet you. And then he started asking about me. Yeah. So, what's your name? You know, how long have you been on the show? Blah, 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 blah. Now, granted, Dick Clark started his career working with young people on bands. They were his capital. That's young people, and having young people like him
in Philadelphia
is what made him famous. But he had been famous and so rich and so famous for so long, he very easily could have forgotten all about that. But he didn't. He was the nicest guy. So it's unfortunate to hear that. That was my long answer to Casey's Rick Dees story.
Dr. Demento is nice.
Dr. Demento is
nice.
With
us several
yeah. He's a little nervous. He's a little neurotic.
and taps the table and draws things with his finger. And it was weird because he is who he is. But when you interview him, because they get nervous when you interview them, they're used to interviewing. When you interview them,
Rick
they get nervous.
Says, I was a bellhop that served Jack Jones breakfast every morning for a week.
Oh, the guy that sang the Love Boat thing.
He was great, but his wife knocked over the breakfast tray on the only morning she was there. And I was training a female. The wife of Jack Jones saw my female trainee bellhop and assumed she was there to get at her husband. So she threw over the breakfast tray and embarrassed herself. Jack Jones then gave us a $20 tip.
Oh, Rob Zombie is nice. His wife's not so nice. So
yeah.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Rick says that he is 65. He was born in Lynn, Massachusetts, class of 77.
I'm 68. So
do you know that you're going to be 70 next year?
Shut up. I got to be 69 first. I'm 68 right now.
Well, it's April.
Yeah?
We're almost there.
How old are you?
Well, that's not important.
No, all of a sudden you don't remember.
I will be 42 in September.
42. My God, that just makes me
Which is older. Funny because every time my birthday comes up,
I'm still in my 60s.
Carrie's like, how old are you? And I'll tell him. He's like, oh my God. And I'm like, but you're my dad, so that should
Every time I look at her, it commemorates the one time I had sex. The one time.
The one time.
It was only once.
I would say you got lucky, but then some people would say you didn't because one time you had me. So, you know.
No. I didn't get lucky in the fact of who I married.
Clint just turned 60 in February.
Clint, you're an old man. You need to be getting AARP.
And Tim will be 48 at the end of June.
Tim's a baby.
Casey is 21. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that she has an adult son is just, it's like
I
immaculate conception.
love her voice. She's got a very
when I
nice
played
voice.
when I played the clips
I
that
was
Casey
in love with her voice.
sent Casey, I played them and was listening to them, and Terry was like,
She
"Wait,
did excellent.
stop, play it again. She has the sweetest voice."
I did really, really good because that was emotional for her, the dad being involved, and she did very well.
Daniel Lasicha says he'll be 59 in October.
Good.
See, you guys are making me feel not so old.
Yeah.
I mean, I
physically
feel old.
Was it Daniel? Who bought the shirt?
Eric Victor, I believe.
Eric Victor. I say. Bought our new shirt for our new radio station, driveinmovie.com.
Yes.
Drive-in movie radio. He has a shirt now. So we have a shirt.
Yes. So Rick says that his wife is 5 years older than him. She's 70, and their oldest child is 40.
But that makes you feel like it's crazy, like your kid is 40. Like my kid is 40-something.
Yeah, I'll be 42 in September.
It's mind-boggling.
We shouldn't be saying our age because we're on TikTok, and we're too old apparently to be on TikTok.
Well, see, he gave his age away by saying he was at a taping for Bewitched. Was William Asher there? William Asher is my friend who created all the Beach Party films for American International, was married to Elizabeth Montgomery, and was the director of Bewitched. Was he there? Because I don't know if he was back then, but we spent like 6 hours at his house in Palm Springs to interview him for a national magazine. Great guy.
So hi to everybody on TikTok again. We're getting a lot of little hearts on TikTok. We have 111 hearts over on TikTok.
You know, TikTok is known
love us.
for just young people. We're finding the
retro pop culture fans on TikTok.
It
took a minute. It took a minute for me to find y'all. Find y'all, but I'm finding you. And you know what? And Casey can appreciate this. Casey had mentioned she had said that it was emotional for her, and as I know, which is true from when we worked together, Casey is a crier.
So am I. I am.
Casey's really a crier. Like perfect example. Most people cry when they're like sad.
Yeah.
Casey would even cry when she was like emotional or touched or moved by something.
So do I. You know that.
Okay.
I listen to a song, I watch a movie, I cry.
But
I hear about a death to somebody I don't know and I cry.
But this memory, I will never forget it. In the office, we had puppies. Somebody had brought in a litter of puppies, and they were like 2 or 3 day old puppies, and their eyes were still closed. And so we were taking turns like holding the puppies because they were babies. And Casey had one at her desk on her lap. And I remember walking by and I heard her sniffling.
Yeah.
She was facing her computer, and I walked over, and she was crying. And I'm like, "Why? He's so cute. He's so cute."
And meanwhile, the puppy's going, "Why are you getting me wet? It's raining in here." Right?
But I don't remember. In talking about TikTok, and the thing that kind of unlocked finding the retro pop culture fans on TikTok was Bobby Sherman.
Yeah.
It was Bobby. When I started posting things over there about Bobby and asking people to like think of Bobby and send up prayers for Bobby, that's when all of a sudden I somehow tapped into the retro pop culture fans on TikTok, and all of a sudden all of the women that were over there that are now like, in their 60s are like, "Oh my God, I'm so in love with Bobby Sherman. He was my first crush. I had all of his posters on my wall. He was the first concert I ever went to. He was the second concert I ever went to." And like, that's what it was. It was Bobby Sherman got us popular on TikTok.
Casey's got to see that special.
Yeah, I gotta send that. I'll send you a link.
There was a Bobby Sherman TV special back in the 60s. It's in color, and it's 30 minutes. He's doing all the songs, promoting the album Portrait of Bobby. Tell him about the scene with the little girl.
Well, you tell him. I'm
go
on a break.
ahead.
No, you tell him. I'm on a break.
There's a thing where he's
Talk
in the
too much.
audience doing Q&A, and this little girl stands up, and she's going to ask you a question.
Well, okay, they were supposed to all ask questions, and
Yeah.
it wasn't supposed to be part of the show.
No.
That's what was funny.
They just happened to turn the camera on.
Yeah, it was like in between. It was like a special to promote his new album, and in between the shots, he was just hanging out and talking to the audience.
And the little girl, rather than ask the question, just started laughing. And she grabbed Bobby and threw her arms around his neck and hugged him like a teddy bear and would not let him go.
And we're talking like little girl, like probably like 4 or 5, like little.
Bobby was just taken back. He couldn't believe it.
Like a koala. Just grabbed onto him. And he picked her up. He was holding her. And she just hugged him. And he was like, "What's your question?" And she just hugged him and buried her face in his neck. And he was like, he just started laughing and like giggling. And he was like, I don't know. It's okay. And then like he tried to talk to her again, and she just hugged him tighter. And he's like, "I think we might be married now."
I shit
it was
my
really
pants
cute.
to find out because back in the day, because Bobby was married for a while and kept it a secret because he was afraid he'd lose fans, and he was married to Patty. Okay, a very cute girl, very chesty. But anyway, come to find out, when Bobby and Patty got divorced, Patty married David Soul, his co-star from Here Come the Brides.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. It had
Bobby
to be awkward.
just seems like when I hear like stuff like that, I'm just like, eh. Bobby seems like such a nice person, and we met Bobby in person. He's such a sweet person. I just feel I know he's older than me, but I just feel like I need to protect him. Casey said she'll be double nickels in just a few months.
She's young.
She is young.
Yep.
So she's hanging out with the old people on a Friday night. Let's see. Tim says his brother turns 50 in September.
There's a whole lot of Hayes had like a big family.
He said, Rick says, when was the last time a print media piece featured you and your enterprise? I will do it if you want. You two conduct the most engaging live stream show of any.
I would actually.
Oh, wait. No. Rick says you two conduct the most engaging live stream show of any that I've seen.
I would prefer to do the centerfold for Playgirl magazine, in my glory.
Yeah.
Okay, but they're not in publication anymore. So it'll have to be old issues of Burt Reynolds.
Right.
Because I could have and should have, and I'd have like a teddy bear in front of me, right? But,
Rick,
we write for a lot of magazines.
The latest issue of Videoscope magazine literally just came out, and it has, sadly, she's passed away now, but the latest issue of Videoscope magazine has our interview that we did before her passing with Tora Satana.
I think he's talking about us. Unfortunately, there hasn't been a lot of publicity about
do an article on us?
There was an article.
We used to have people ask us to be on their show for interviews, and we were like, why?
We always turned it down.
We're like, no, we interview people. We don't want to be interviewed.
There is an old magazine out there called Keystone, and it's from Australia, and the cover has Cliff Richard, and they do a story on me. And there was a story on me in Goldmine, which is a national record collectors publication. But other than that, there hasn't really been anything done on you and I. I had a TV station come and do an interview with me when I had my Elvis show on WLUV in Rockford, and they came to my Elvis bedroom, and they did an interview with me, and that was on TV. It was about me, and they interviewed me. It was on an NBC channel. And I always did, like, the telethons and stuff. But outside of those 2 articles, that's it. There hasn't been a lot. And nothing included you.
Did you know that Leonard Maltin does a YouTube live stream with his daughter now?
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah, I did. I didn't know that. Rick was asking if we watched Leonard.
He's a big Laurel and Hardy fan.
Was asking if we watched Leonard Maltin's YouTube live stream on Sunday afternoons. It's hosted by him and his daughter. I didn't know that he did that. We'll have to.
I hear he's a good guy.
We'll have to follow his YouTube page. Clint, be very thankful. I'm telling you now. Because you never know when things are going to change. But Clint had said that his dad is 81. He's built like a tank.
God bless.
And doesn't know when to quit.
Yeah.
So cherish the time with him because, things can turn around. And you're very lucky to not have to deal with the mental kind of flip in your head of trying to, because you always see your parents as like strong and caretakers, right?
Saddest thing is when
So
they get
when you have
Alzheimer's,
to
they
when you
forget
have
who
to
you are.
realize that they're not the strong young person that you remember because they have Alzheimer's or something, that's really hard to deal with. So be very thankful that he is. And I'm sorry to hear that Bruno passed away. His bearded dragon passed away.
Oh, really? He lived quite a long time, though. I mean, they don't.
Do you
live...
remember his enclosure
I
that had
do.
Crag
etched
into the stone wall?
He took care of Bruno well. If I'm not mistaken, they don't live like a real long time, do they? I don't know.
I know tortoises, which I've always wanted one because that's the one animal I could have that would outlive me. I know tortoises live to be over 100 and something years old, but. And
Tim, love your mother. You need to keep her out of the backyard, and you need to go out there and get the dandelions for her because she was out getting dandelions.
Fritz and Hermie were both on camera, but the only one who has not been on camera is Ho Ho.
Are you sleeping?
Where's Hody Ho? Come here, Hody Ho.
He's usually the camera ho.
Come here, Ho Ho. Hody Ho.
So for New People, tell me again what we're doing for Easter.
Wait, I'm getting it.
Oh, okay.
Come here, Hody Ho. I see you right now. Did you come when you're called? Come here. Come on. Come on. Hey, come here. Come on.
No, we would welcome anybody who wants to do a story on what we do. We tried to get on this one show. It's in Monterey, but he hadn't. We haven't done a whole lot of publicity.
Terry's been wanting me to do interviews.
Yeah.
But
her.
Daniel Lasitra says Leonard Maltin's YouTube show with his daughter is not as cool as Terry and Tiffany's Craig live show.
Oh,
or Terry and Tiffany's Craig show.
I bet it's not as controversial. I bet that.
Does Leonard talk about which celebrities are not very nice?
No, I doubt that because people are afraid to do that. We're not.
We're not. Because you know what? At the end of the day, celebrities are just people.
Look, they know you're the media. If they try to be an asshole, they got to know it's going to come out. Right?
I just remembered another celebrity I could talk about who was not nice.
Oh, there's a few.
So, Michael Pare, who I know KC knows who he is because KC was like me. She was in love with him. But that got dashed because he was actually on our radio show twice. For those of you who don't know who Michael Pare is, he was the star of Streets of Fire, and he was the star of Eddie and the Cruisers 1 and 2. He was Eddie. So he was on our show twice. The first time he was on our show with a director of a low-budget movie that he had done.
Well, he was behaved.
And he was behaved, and he was very nice.
But he was by himself.
And then we got the opportunity to have him back on the show a second time by himself. And I was like, oh, this is great. Like, we're going to be able to go into more stuff. Like, we'll be able to talk more about, like, Streets of Fire, which I absolutely love. And he has this werewolf movie we want to talk about and, all this kind of stuff. And it'll be wonderful. And he gets on the show and he was a total jerk. Like, he started off, he was nice. But then, like, he started making, like, off-color comments that I was like, oh, like, he does know we're on the air live, right? Like, he was making racial comments.
Yeah.
Like, he said that his son wanted to be, like, on the track team, but he told his son, like, you shouldn't be in the track team because you're going to be competing against some of the other track members who are, like, people, and we all know black people can run faster than white people. And he's like, I told my son, like, if you want to, like, do better, like, join the swim team because you don't have to worry about that there. And when he started saying stuff like that, I was like, oh my God. And then, like, a couple minutes later, I mean, this interview was so bad, we don't even have it in the Crag archives. Like, we didn't even leave it up for consumption. We took it down, we killed it, we buried it. Because then he was like, yeah, so, like, just asking, like, how long is this thing going to go? And I was like, actually, we're going to wrap this up now. Thank you very much, Michael, for being on the show. You have a wonderful night. And he's like, no, I was just asking. Like, we don't have to stop now. Like, we can keep going. And I was like, no, we're good.
The other
you
one
have a nice weekend. And ended the call, and that was it. And I am so mad at him because I loved him and I love Streets of Fire, and it's kind of like finding out that Santa Claus isn't real. Like, when you invest so much time and energy into liking a celebrity.
The other one who was nice and did a good interview, but wanted to get off, he's like, so, what do you got? Like, questions like, are we done? I've been on for a half an hour. John Snyder of the Dukes of Hazzard was not the nicest.
Right.
You know? And, of course, E.G. Daly, we almost threw out of the studio. And she wound up being okay once we brought her friend in, but that was very awkward, and we got to a point where we were so fed up, we told her to leave. She wanted to continue on.
Well,
once her friend come in, she was okay.
There are certain things you have to learn to do, like
when you're doing,
especially in live.
Yeah.
Like E.G., she didn't want to be there, and she was bored or whatever. So I was like, okay. I went out in the other room, and I told her friend, I was like, you need to get in there now, like in now. Go. Oh, I don't want to be on the show. No, go.
Then she was okay.
And then she was fine because she was having fun because her friend.
And then we kept trying to cut it short because we wanted her to leave.
And
E.G. was like, no, I'm having fun. I want to stay. We're like, no, that's okay. We're out of time. Nice knowing you. We gave her gifts from listeners and everything.
Yeah. Tim says, I found out tortoises can be fixed. My brother Jerry's mother-in-law gave a bunch to my brother and his family.
What do you mean fixed? Like
neutered is like.
Why would you neuter a tortoise? They're so slow. They couldn't get to the other one. Anyway.
Tortoise procreation a problem? Like
you ever see how they climb up the back?
The big land tortoise. What is it? Galapagos. Yeah. Galapagos tortoises. When they make the noise they make.
Yeah.
Like don't YouTube it. Promise me you won't be able to get it out of your head. Rick says,
I made myself call.
Rick says they are nice, but not in your league when it comes to live stream production and engagement.
Yeah.
Never once have they read one of my many questions or comments during their stream or many others. Clint says Casey has to bug out. She has a Zoom call.
Nice to see you.
So it was nice seeing you, Casey. Thank you for stopping in and hanging out.
Someday we'll get together and we can cry together.
Yeah. Casey said, damn, not the Michael Paré story. Now I'm going to cry again. And Tim says the tortoises apparently were multiplying at his brother's house.
Yeah.
Well, then I could have got a tortoise from you for free. They're expensive.
Yeah.
He could have sold them. They're actually what? Like $100, $150.
I don't assume they have a lot of offspring.
Well, apparently these ones did. Rick says that Malton and his daughter are, I read that part. Clint says, going way back, I remember when you guys had Alice Cooper's daughter there in person.
Oh, boy.
Calico.
I was staring at her mini dress. It was getting higher and higher as she sat next to me.
Calico Cooper, who is now married and a mom.
Yeah.
That's how long ago it was. That's how long we've been doing this. Alice's baby girl, Calico, who is also a dancer in his shows.
And she introduced us in person to her dad. We got to meet Alice.
Dad? On my birthday. I got a hug from Alice Cooper on my birthday. And it was that moment where I knew Alice Cooper was her dad, but I hadn't met him. And then she was like, hey, Dad. And he turns around and I'm like, holy crap, like your dad really is Alice Cooper. That's
insane.
Was
coming to the house when she came to the house, but he didn't want to drive that far.
He found out how far out we were at the time. He's like, no, that's good. So, we talked a lot. We're at an hour and a half
I need to
almost.
quit because I'm starting to cough a little bit. So.
My throat's very dry.
I impersonated the tortoise, and now I'm done.
I can't have a drink up here because I have too many streams going. I have an iPad and an iPhone and a webcam and just
so
a
anyway,
lot going
to
on.
recap,
so I still have to get something together for our Easter egg hunt on Crag Live Radio.
To recap, we have a new radio station. It's called Drive In Movie Radio. It can be heard at drive-inmovie.com. It can be heard on our Roku app, The Last Drive-In, which we had the name before Joe Bob. And also on Get Me Radio, look up Drive-In Movie Radio, and it is the Best of Craig host and other things. And what are we doing for Easter?
For
we
Easter,
have six radio stations.
We have 6 radio stations. So we have Cult Radio A Go-Go, we have Horror and Halloween Radio, we have Christmas at the Drive-In, we have As Heard TV, we have OTR Old Timer Radio, and now we have Drive-In Movie Radio. And then for
the Craig app on Roku has all 6 stations, 5 stations, and the new station number 6 is on the last Drive-In Roku app. So we're on Roku.
Daniel Lasitra, who's over on Facebook, he says, "See, this is what I'm talking about. Leonard Maltin never talks about tortoise porn."
There you go.
Where else you could hear about Alice Cooper, Anson Williams, and tortoise porn all in the same discussion, right?
Sometime when you're in
and
there,
Dick Clark and Rick Dees.
ask Leonard about Laurel and Hardy.
He'll answer you then.
He loves
He's a huge Laurel and Hardy fan.
Yes.
So mention Laurel and Hardy, and he'll answer you then. What we're doing on Cult Radio this weekend is either sometime tonight or early in the morning tomorrow on Cult Radio. We're going to be starting our special Easter programming. It's going to be the Cult Radio A-Go-Go Easter Egg Hunt. And it's just going to be exactly that. It's going to be a mixture of rotation of unique Easter egg content. You know how you see a movie and you see something kind of cool, it's an Easter egg? It's going to be all that kind of stuff, all Easter eggs, all unique content, audio content, Easter themed on Cult Radio from whenever I get it up there until whenever I take it
through Saturday night.
through Saturday night. So it'll be, we're planning on, having some audio from some Easter television specials, including like Rankin Bass, Easter Bunny is Coming to Town, any other Easter variety specials that I can find. We're going to have the audio from some Davey and Goliath episodes in there. We will have some of the Easter-themed Craig specials and Craig lives that we've done in the past.
We had Jesus on the show.
We will
did.
Get this show up there with Ted Neely from Jesus Christ Superstar. We might have some songs mixed in there from Jesus Christ Superstar. We'll do the Kook Show.
Well, that'll be in that show, too.
The Kook Show Easter special. I think there was a Wicked Kitty one.
Maybe Night of the Lepus.
Maybe the audio from Night of the Lepus.
I like the audio
any
from
kind of
a
stuff
movie.
like that.
You
So
don't see it, you just hear it and it becomes radio.
we'll see how much content I can find and how much I can get together for the Easter egg special.
That's
on
why we
Cult
have
Radio.
to go, because we have to put it together.
I haven't even started.
Yeah.
I'm so behind,
And
but
you
I
have to make tomato soup.
have to make tomato soup, and I really want brownies for dessert.
Remember now, we've got Craig Radio and other stations and pop culture T-shirts. It also is at Drive Dash. You got to put the dash there, a little dash. DRIVE dash in movie. DRIVE dash INMOVIE. All one word, no spaces.
All right, I'm going to start shutting services down. So Facebook goes first because it's on my phone and that's in front of me first. So good night, Daniel.
There is our T-shirt store, and make sure you see there's more than one page. Just go through the pages, like several pages.
Well, there's lots of stuff over on drive-inmovie.com. All of our Roku apps
You even get underwear.
You can.
Yeah.
All of our Roku apps are over there too. So.
And I'll be working on doing that spread for a magazine like Playgirl. I'll be in it.
You got to keep talking. I have to systematically shut these things down one at a time.
It would require about 4 pages that you fold out. I don't fit on 2. And I'm not saying what part of me doesn't fit, but use your.
Rick says that he was he's getting ready to head out because it's good night TikTok.
Yeah,
Good night to everybody on TikTok. I got to figure out how to stop the live stream because I'm still kind of new to this one over here. Oh, wait. Nope, not that. Oh, wait. This. End live. Yes. Rick was saying he was heading out because it's 11 o'clock over there.
Right.
But he says he can't wait for our Easter egg hunt show. Have a good night. Good night, Rick.
Happy Easter.
Happy
Good
Easter.
Friday.
Oh, there's lots of activity going. Okay, and now YouTube gets shut down last. So we're going to head out, guys.
Happy trails.
Happy Easter to everybody. Happy Good Friday. And stay tuned to our social media. We'll be posting when the special Easter egg hunt content is up on Craig.
And all 5 stations are on cultradiogogo.com, cragradio.com, and the new drive-in stations at drive-inmovie.com.
Right. Good night, Tim. Good night, Clint. Happy Easter. All right. Good night, everyone.
Peace.